I'm a huge connector. I love to connect with people. So my favorite compliment is when people say, "You're so relatable. You're so authentic." I love hearing that. And I hear that so often. You're so authentic, especially as a radio presenter. Because they often tell you that the most successful radio presenters and people who are relatable, they make you feel like, you're their best friend. You want to listen to them every day. I knew someone was going to say something about authenticity, and Timmy mentioned authenticity. So I'm going to dive deeper into this word called authenticity, because I think that there's still some ambiguity with, okay, I want to be authentic, but how much of myself do I give out? So when I think about the word authenticity, how many people have fluffy shoes, slippers, or bathroom slippers, or Crocs? Anything you wear when you get home and just makes you feel relaxed? Or are you more the barefoot kind of person? You like to, how many people like to walk barefoot? Fantastic. So all of us have something, a footwear that when we get home, it just feels so natural, just feels so real. We don't have to perform. That's what I liken authenticity to. My favorite, my most comfortable, fluffy bedroom slippers. It hugs my feet after a long day. I just feel like myself. I feel like I'm home. It allows me to forget all of the walking or all of the things I've done throughout the day, all the stress. And I just feel relaxed. And if you're the barefooted kind of person as well, you just like to get home and just walk around. I have one of my kids is like that, just wants to walk around. And that's fantastic. But imagine going to a job interview in those fluffy slippers. Or I don't know how many people are Crocs. Who are the Crocs? Crocs fam. Okay. Crocs fam they can wear Crocs to heaven if you allow them. All right. So I'm a Crocs fan as well. I love Crocs. But imagine going to a job interview in Crocs or barefoot or in your bathroom slippers or in your bedroom shoes. Obviously, you get that look like, okay, and you probably will not get the job. All right. So I want to tell you a story of a time I used to drive around with all my shoes. I used to drive around with all my shoes in the car. And I know a lot of ladies who relate with this. I drove around with all my shoes in the car because as a media personality, I just didn't know where I would find myself next. All right. So I'll put all my shoes in my car. I'd have a few blazers, maybe a shirt. So if I find myself at a party, I can wear the appropriate kind of shoes. If I found myself at, and also at work, I was known to be someone that used to dress up a lot. So I have different kind of shoes. People used to compliment my shoes all the time. So I had all my shoes in the car, just so that I would never be found caught on fresh, if you know what I mean. So where's this going back to okay. So that I would never be caught on fresh. Thank you very much. So one day a friend of mine, threw shade at me. I said, your car is so untidy. It's so untidy. What kind of mess? Whenever I'd had like a passenger in the car, you'll have to move all my shoes around, move my blazer, move my jacket. So I thought, okay, I'll take his advice and clear out my car. And so when I got home that evening, I cleared out my car, took out all the shoes, all the blazer. My car looked pristine. It was really nice. So oftentimes when I'm going to work, I'll come out maybe barefoot or in my bathroom slippers. And when I get to work, depending on what I'm wearing, I look in my car, okay, I'm going to wear this one. I'll wear that one. So I could change all my shoes depending on how I felt. But because I cleared out my car, when I got to work the next day, I got out in my bathroom slippers, tried to look for the next shoe, the kind of shoes I'd wear. And of course, I forgot to return some of the shoes. So I had to walk around at work in bathroom slippers. And so for people who knew me to be that person who would always, her shoes were always on point. It was always, are you okay? Is everything okay? I felt very odd. I felt very awkward. I felt very out of place because I was wearing bathroom slippers at work. All right. So thankfully, that did not happen today. I wore one of my favorite shoes. It is so, can anybody see my shoes? I'm a shoes girl. I wear one of my favorite shoes. And these shoes are definitely appropriate for this stage, right? Appropriate for what I'm wearing, because obviously I'm not wearing I would have loved to wear my bedroom slippers, but I didn't. So I wore these shoes, which are really great. And I've gotten lots of compliments on these shoes. But how about if I told you that every time I got it, wow, nice shoes, I'm internally crying because I'm going through a lot. Because as fine as these shoes are, they're so uncomfortable. Wearing them for a few hours, I know I'm going to get home and I'm going to have to put my feet up, have blisters around my toes. I'm just going to pay. But hey, I got compliments, right? So I look great, right? Fantastic. So when I think about authenticity, I think about my bedroom slippers or walking barefoot or my Crocs or my bathroom slippers. And when I think about the opposite of authenticity, I'm thinking these shoes. Authenticity, because I may look to you like, oh, I've got it all together. I look great, but inside, I'm tired. Somebody help. So that's how I distinguish between authenticity and inauthenticity. So there was a time on air when I was still a young broadcaster, because they tell you as a radio presenter, just like I said, the most successful OAPs are the ones that are personable, relatable. People are listening to you and they feel like you're talking to me, So I wanted to lead into this authenticity thing. And I had a guest and we're talking and I blurted out a very personal information, because I felt like, oh, let's, but I don't know how many people have been there. You bond maybe based on something that's happened to you in the past or gossip, just, to bond. And I wanted to bond with my guest and I blurted this personal information. And I could see from her face that it was too much information. It was very awkward because she felt like, okay, kilaj. What are we saying? What are we throwing? So that information was a bit too much for her. And for me, that cemented the fact that while authenticity is important, not everyone is ready to handle you at your most vulnerable. All right, for people like me who are connectors, like to connect with people, especially for people who are well-known or very popular, you want to be able to draw the line whereby you are still personable, you're relatable. However, you are able to determine what layer of yourself you allow people to see. Just like on social media, we see it often when someone comes on a podcast and they share a detail and you're thinking, I don't think we need to know that. I don't think we need to know that your mom has 3 breasts and, something really, ridiculous like that. So a lot of influencers also battle with this, being able to be out there, be relatable, and still, still hold a bit of themselves back. I know they say the more relatable you are, the more followers you get. So sometimes some people really take it too seriously. So we must be mindful. All right. So you need to realize that you don't owe your deepest truths to everyone you meet. You really don't owe your deepest truths to everyone you meet. And you certainly do not owe anybody your vulnerability. It is so important. All right. Because you've met some of those people who say, this is me and that's how I am. Everywhere I am, this is how I am. And I feel that oftentimes when we don't have boundaries with our vulnerability and authenticity, we face more rejection than we really ought to. So just like I said, if you went to an interview, a job interview in your bathroom slippers, all in the name of this is how I am and this is what makes me most comfortable, you probably will get rejected. So oftentimes a lot of us face more rejection than we really should because we just throw layers of ourselves at people and not actually build that connection bit by bit. So we face more rejection, we face abuse even. So we're talking about the balance, the sweet spot. My TED Talk today is actually titled The Sweet Spot of Authenticity. All right, so the sweet spot is finding that sweet spot between being yourself and protecting yourself, because it's important to protect yourself in this cruel, cruel world. It's super, super important. And there are 3 things that I have used, because oftentimes people say, you're so well known. I know a lot of people on social media as well. I have a reasonable, good following, a lot of people slide into my DM. And the thing with social media, and even as an OAPs, people feel like they know you. And so they approach you the next day because of something you said. You're like, do I know you? I don't know you, but they do feel you, because if you're authentic and you're relatable, people really do feel like that you're besties. All right. So it's important to sort of have those boundaries. There's 3 things: boundaries, discernment, and intentionality. Boundaries. I always call myself the boundaries queen, because I've been able to master the art of being, hey, hi, how are you? And be friendly to people without totally letting them in to the point where it makes me uncomfortable. So it's important to have boundaries, because boundaries will help you to determine how far people can come. And it's so important. Everyone should have boundaries. Trust me. And of course, discernment, because you need discernment to be able to determine how much have you earned my trust to be able to come into my inner space. If you don't have discernment, you're going to allow people who have not earned your trust, who have not earned the right to your vulnerability, to get into your inner space. And of course, intentionality, because you still want to show up as your true self, but intentionally, because you show up as your true self, but without giving too much away. So even though authenticity does feel like your bathroom slippers, your barefoot, your Crocs, your whatever, it's important that you know that there's a time and a place. My husband always says that it's not the manner, but the matter. There's a time and the place for everything. All right. So it's important to stay true to yourself. I need you to know that it's important to stay true, because there's nothing that helps you to find that balance and find that authenticity than growing older. I'm in my 40s now. So when you're in your 40s, you really don't care what people think about you. All right. But at the same time, I'm not going to say I don't care what anyone thinks about me and then just walk into any space and give you any or every bit of me. So it's important that you stay true to yourself, but be mindful of how you show up. Find that sweet spot and you'll be both authentic and protected. My name is Ronke Giwa-Onafuwa. Thank you for listening to my TED.